What is up, beautiful people? The road to 100k a month, episode 6. We are slowly but surely building the momentum, building the consistency, but still getting our setbacks, still getting those jabs straight to the face. But we are taking those as wins, lessons learned. But really good week overall, as I'll go over all the lessons I'll go over as well. But we'll get straight into it. As tradition, our P&L. Following our green week last week of just wins every single day, shit nearly happened this week, bro. As you guys can see, our hypothesis was as well that going into this week we wanted to size more, as we did, and it ended up paying off. But obviously with sizing more on winning days, same shit applies to if you have a losing day. And as you can see, that was our biggest L. 686 across 5 accounts. That shit fucking hurt, bro. And I'm gonna go over all of those lessons on Friday. And matter of fact, bro, fuck Fridays. I'm gonna say that pretty handedly, bro. And I'm gonna go over all the lessons as well. But as far as that as well, our drawdown, as we can see, we've pretty much recovered that shit. Going into before Friday, we were eligible for a 3k payout across all of our accounts. But I don't want to go for that shit. And I know I shouldn't, bro. For my psychology, I probably should start taking the wins. I want to go for a max payout, bro. That's who I am. That's what I'm going to do. And yeah, as we're recovering, but yeah, bro, Friday, I keep saying Friday, bro, but I'm going to go over all the lessons as well. But we'll get straight into it. As of Monday, I'll put up the trade as well for all of our trades that we did. And we'll go over our bias. So our bias, we had 2 4-hour gaps marked. Our most recent fair value gap was respected since Friday. My bias, what I wanted to see happen was to look for a fill and a retrace into it, and start looking for longs to target all-time highs once again. I had known and I had seen that Asian London session had chopped in the new week opening gap. So what I wanted to see happen is a breakout, and then I would have looked for my entry. What ended up happening is we broke out of the new week opening gap. We had a 15-minute V-shaped recovery, 5-minute fair value gap formed and retraced, and we were still an all-time high market. So I entered 25 contracts. The thoughts that I had, so I ended up hitting, I think it ended up edging my break even and then hitting stop loss. I put here my thoughts, would have preferred an earlier entry, but was positive either way. I just ended up having more confluence as I put here. But if I had entered slightly earlier, I would have hit partials and would have hit break even. So the lesson I had here was if executed on the front running 1-minute candle just before entry a little earlier, as thought internally, as I had thought of in my mind, would have hit partials and break even and ended more green than if I had avoided the loss of the trade and not taking the second. I don't know why I put that there. But ended up going from there, the second trade, we were looking for longs once again. At this point, we were still in all-time high markets. I was not gonna look for shorts and find reasons to short. But what ended up happening was we respected the previous 15-minute fair value gap. We formed a 5-minute and a 15-minute V-shaped recovery. Saw it as like the institutions taking liquidity before making higher highs. And then 2 5-minute fair value gaps confirmed. I then entered on the retrace with another 25 contracts, this time hitting our partials, hitting our TP1, or hitting our ultimate TP. This was actually a really interesting one. So the top, as you guys can see on the screenshot, I wanted to cash out, but I stayed disciplined. For context, I had never been edged this fucking badly in a fucking trade ever, bro. Like up until the end of that trade, as you guys can see, that's when I hit my break even and partials and our TP2. So like even up there, like just before where we edged it in the middle of that trade, I wanted to cash out, but I didn't. And obviously we got compensated for that. We stayed disciplined and shit ended up from that wick that we got that TP ended up straight flushing down, which was hilarious to see. And then that was Monday, so I ended up in the green. Going into Tuesday, bias was still bullish, long until wrong. We had a 4-hour uptrend. 1 hour was actually a downtrend. But I took that as a reminder that higher time frames hold more power. I learned that from one of the previous episodes. We had a sneaky 4-hour gap respected as well since Friday all the way through till now. Would be good to see price respect and retrace off it. I then would look to higher and target London highs, Asia high, and then previous New York high. I also marked 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on my watch list ahead of Kevin Warsh. I think it was the new fetcher going in, and they were signaling about rates going forward. So that was at 11:30. I had marked that out. And then what ended up happening was we tapped into our 4-hour gap. We broke past 4-hour gap and stayed patient, recovered with a 5-minute plus 15-minute V-shaped recovery, but then broke back down, forming a follow through with downtrend. And then I switched bias as a light bulb. I don't know why I put that there, but I respected. Oh, that's what ended up happening. So yeah, my bias was bullish, but we ended up just seeing so much confirmation and so much confluences for shorts that's when a light bulb switched and I formed a bearish bias. I don't know why I flipped like there, but that's what ended up happening. So we respected the 5-minute. We entered off that 5-minute, and we had respected it, and then we hit for the trade. That was with 15 contracts because I didn't want to slice too much. Once again, bear in mind this was the time where we're still in all-time high markets. I don't want to be sizing way too big, so I just took a stab at it. But we ended up partials getting hit, TP1 getting hit, and I don't think we had a TP2. No, we didn't. So that was pretty good. So it was a good trade. Break even and partials were set to relative lows, but ended up securing full TP below 2. W trade also just before Kevin Warsh / Senate news as marked in purple, but barely moved the markets. Yeah, that shit barely even fucking moved the markets, bro. There was not much point in marking that out, but yeah. Second trade. Oh no, we didn't take a second trade. I was looking for a trade on the second one, but we just chopped for the next 3 hours. Only would have taken if we had to break a structure, but we just didn't, so no point in there. Oh no, did we? I think we maybe did on Wednesday. No, we didn't. Cool. And then as far as Wednesday, trading off the rip, as far as wisdom, I was reading this from Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and this, I don't know why this stuck to me. I was always like this naturally as a person, and I am, where I don't do things if there's no intrinsic reason for doing it. But it was a really good quote. It was a really good quote, and it was, "For nothing should be done without a purpose." Internalize that, everybody. Nothing should be done without a purpose. Whatever you are doing at any point of any given day, any given second of the day, if it does not have a purpose, do not fucking do it, bro. So whether it's bad habits, whether it's doing fucking whatever, whether it's whatever you are doing, for nothing should be done without a purpose. Let that simmer into your brain, as I did with myself. And I thought that was I was like a fire quote. I think that was like the best quote I took out of Meditations, Marcus Aurelius, so far. Nearly done with that book. Also, quite funny, bro. Chess muted my shit, bro. I'm gonna put up a screenshot, bro. Chess muted my shit in terms of the chat logs. Bro, I've been beefing with too many fucking Indians, bro. Whenever I play a fucking Indian and I win, I always go to LARP that shit, bro. And I think I ended up saying some shit like, "Your ass, bro." And then they fucking banned me, bro. Like fucking crazy, bro. But I got that shit unmuted. We're back. Funny thing, as of chess, I'm now about to hit 1300 chess elo. Starting from the year, bro, my goal was I wanted to get, and I didn't set this like fully in stone, but I think I am gonna now. Now that I'm saying this, and when I say something, I have to do it. I want to get to 1500 chess elo. That's my goal. So we're already crossing through 1300, nearly, not quite down. But going into Wednesday was a super stoic and unserious energy. This was the first time where I was going into market open just like super stoic. And I don't know if it was at the back of reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, but there was just an energy to me, bro, where it was like, I did not give a fuck. And I was just so unserious, bro. I was not serious about shit, bro. And I mean, obviously it paid off, bro. Another thing as well, I felt desensitized. I'm going to mention why, but we'll go over the trade. So yeah, 4 hour didn't really tell much. We did form 4 hour bullish gap. 1 hour on the uptrend, so I'll put up the trade if I haven't already. 1 hour on the uptrend, but could see a breaker structure happening. We did equal all-time highs, resting liquidity both ways. We'll see what happens at market open. No 100% conviction on either direction so far. So what I would have liked to see is just wait to see how market opens, make my decision from there. For some time, it seemed bearish. We had a 15-minute downtrend, 15-minute fair value gap form, and respected. Target would have been New York AM plus PM lows. But internally, I thought to myself, if bullish, the only reason I would turn bullish, I would need to look for a price to sweep previous New York AM highs plus Asia lows while respecting the 4-hour gap. What ended up happening was 5 to 50-minute V-shaped recovery. We failed to have a 1-hour breaker structure to the downside. We had a 50-minute bullish breaker structure plus a 15-minute bullish 15-minute gap. We formed, that was respected. We enter on the 5-minute plus another 50-minute fair value gap retrace. Just a bunch of fucking confluence, bro. And then target was previous New York London high plus equal all-time high. And that was one of our biggest size trades yet. We went for 30 contracts. Partials got hit, TP1 got hit, TP2 got hit. And that was my biggest trade yet. That was my fucking PR. So that was my best trade yet. That was a 2.2k win across all of my accounts. TP2, for context, just seemed like the easiest target ever. Looking back, bro, I don't know. I kind of felt like FOMO of like I should have entered with more. Because I just thought that was like such easy fucking bread, bro. But it is what it is, bro. We still hit our PR. Seemed like the easiest targets ever. All-time highs for Monday. And an exact relative high in London session just before New York. All TPs smacked. And then yeah, as far as I was mentioning earlier, feeling desensitized already. Genuinely, bro, never had 2.2. I put here in my notes. I got off that day winning like that 2.2k day. And I don't think I might have had one. But I've never made that much money in a day from my sales days. And like already with trading, bro, with like pretty much a month in, bro, I kid you not, I was desensitized, bro. I didn't give a fuck, bro. Some of these days as well, on like the Monday, I think, or some of the other days where I had 1k days, nothing, bro. I don't feel shit, bro, already. And I think it's good, and I think I need to keep that up because it normalizes success. I think if I sit there and I'm all giddy and shit, if I win, 1k days, 2k days, and I'm like hella hyped and shit, it makes it seem to my subconscious like that's not normal. You're celebrating. However, I think the approach that I'm taking it, which is naturally happening, I'm not forcing this, but I'm not giving a fuck. And I think that's helping normalize the success and normalize of, yeah, of course we do 2k days. What else are we gonna do? So that's kind of the energy it's kind of giving off, but I figured to mention that. So yeah. That was our PR, and then that was it. That was our only trade for Wednesday. Now going to Thursday, W to this guy, bro. This guy commented, he said, try going for valid key levels as I think he was referring to my take profits and my stop losses. And funny enough, going into like from Wednesday, I had that thought internally. I'm like, some of the break evens that I'm doing, once again, that's a strategy that I'm still ongoing, still testing out. But I'm like, I should logically start making, not just setting it like based off intuition, but based off actual valid key levels. And he commented that shit, so I thought I'd give him a shout out, bro. W comment, bro. And that's what I ended up having that thought in my brain for the rest of the week, and we'll continue to do so. But our bias going into Thursday was our bias. We had a sneaky new day opening gap that had been respected from Asia and London session. 4-hour gap below it as well. And we had a 4-hour plus a 1-hour uptrend looking bullish. Would look for a fill and a retracement to either the new day opening gap or the 4-hour gap if bullish. If disrespected, could be a bearish sign. We'll wait for open. So also had a bias there where it was like, at this point, I think we were starting to hit not all-time high markets after every market open or after every session. So at this point, it would have been clues to start looking for shorts perhaps. So we kept the open mind. Zero liquidity swept or retracement into gaps. Bullish off the rip, all-time high was hit in 10 minutes. Before longing, would have needed to see some sort of pullback. I didn't want to be your average jester and just fucking longed for the sake of it. I needed to see some sort of pullback. We dumped but recovered, forming a 5 plus 50-minute V-shaped recovery. Continuing bullish uptrend, broke past all-time high markets again. 5-minute gap formed, and at that point I entered. And break even smashed, TP1 smashed, TP2 smashed. Mid-trade, we also formed a 15-minute gap. And my thoughts were, should have waited for the 15-minute gap to form. So this was actually quite an interesting one. We entered off the 5-minute, but I put here in my notes, should have waited for the 15-minute gap to form, and looking at charts, would have entered on the 5-minute. So what I would have done, knowing myself, what I should have done, I should have waited for the 15, and I knew myself, if I had waited for that, I would have waited for the 5-minute and I would have entered. If I would have done that, I would have got a better entry. It would have been a worse entry, but I would have sized more. So what ended up happening on this trade was I got a bad entry, but I sized less because I didn't have the 15-minute. I didn't have the conviction to okay, we're gonna go for it. So that was an interesting observation, because I've started to really, really like 15-minute fair value gaps, bro. I genuinely like it because they're just such a good base, and usually when a 15-minute gap forms, it holds a lot more power than a 5-minute or a 1-minute. And for me, I just love that confluence. So again, a little bit greedy there, talking about wanting to get more, but I don't give a fuck, bro. Even on the wins, I still want to see what I could do better. So that was my observation, is that if we waited for the 15, we would have got a better entry, and we would have got a worse entry, but we would have sized more, and at the end of it, we would have profited more. The second trade, this was continuing on Thursday. I don't really have any thoughts here. Yeah, I think we just had a break of structure here. And then, yeah, where are the notes, bro? I must have deleted them. But I think, yeah, so by the looks of the screenshot, we had a 15-minute gap. I think we must have broke structure, and we ended up having a 5-minute gap, and I ended up trying to enter on the retrace. And I think we did. But I think we edged we ended up edging it. So, bro, we ended up edging the partial, so as you guys can see, nearly by a fucking wick. We nearly hit our break even, not once, but twice. And we ended up hitting stop loss, is what it is. But yeah, I put here, but super grateful subconsciously. So here, yeah, this is the first sign of this. Subconsciously, I showed elements. So this is actually a very interesting point. For the first time in my trading aspect, I have shown greed. At this point, bear in mind, I have been on a 9-day winning streak. I have not gone into the red. I've all the week from last week up until that Thursday, and I had won that trade on that Thursday. I was 9 days win. If I had a loss, I recovered with a win, whatever. And I think at that point, I showed elements of greed, bro. And as I put here, this trade, and no wonder I don't think I had that many notes. But I didn't follow. I don't think I followed it to a T, my strategy. And I think it looked like, looking at the screenshot, it looks like a good setup. We had respected the 15-minute. We entered off the 5-minute. We had a break of structure. We nearly hit our break even on partials. And it looks like on paper like a good trade. But the reason I don't think it's a good trade is my subconscious, bro. I was greedy. I think I entered off that trade just for the sake of it. Just for the sake of oh, bro, I'm winning so much, then surely I'm gonna win this one. And it might sound like a retarded thing, but it's like, I don't know, bro. I felt that, and that was the first time. So I think it's good that we got it out the way with a small trade. I put 15 contracts on there. But that was the first time we had shown an element of greed. Where it's bro, you're already up. I think I was up 1K on the day, bro. Yeah, 224. I was up 1.2K on the day. From my sales days, I would never do that shit. But now that it's I should have took that win. But is what it is, bro. So I ended up hitting. That ended up losing. But I think we were still green on the day. Now going into Friday. So this fucking Fridays, buddy. Holy fucking shit, bro. Don't get me started on fucking Fridays. I hate the fucking thought of Fridays, bro. But it is what it is. Bias, we looked bearish. We had a 4-hour bearish gap formed. In Asia, we had a clear 1-hour downtrend, plus we had respected the 4-hour gap. We'll see how market opens. Lots of draws on liquidity on both sides. So we had draws of a bunch of draws of liquidity up to the upside from previous sessions. and we had draws of liquidity to the downside. We were such in bearish momentum that I felt like, bro, I mean, we had so many draws of orders. Maybe this is where the market's finally gonna start tanking. I put there's a new day opening gap from May 12. That was actually very interesting, man. I don't think many people might have spotted that. I have like an indicator for my new day opening gaps, and I had that listed there from May 12, and that was holding strong. So what I would have looked to see is like some sort of retracement into that level. And for me, what I would have looked to see was either we would have broke it or I respected it. And I would have wanted to see how that reacts off that level, and I wanted to see how price would have reacted based off our bullish or a bearish 4-hour gap that was above. So what ended up happening was 50-minute fair value gap opened pre-market plus market open. New day opening gap had been respected. We had a 5-minute and a 15-minute V-shaped recovery. Breaker structure confirmed. We inversed the 50-minute gap. Waited and entered on the second 5-minute fair value gap. Aggressive sweep last second. If I had entered at that point, it would have stopped me out, but I didn't. I stayed patient. And at that point, I sized big, bro. I went, fuck it. Let's go for 35 contracts. And as you guys can see, we hit stop loss. And genuinely, it was, I couldn't see much what I could have done wrong, if I'm being totally honest. I think the setup on any other given day would have likely hit. I think there was some news that was hit on Friday in terms of like, I don't know what, I forgot the name of it, but something happens on every third week of Fridays. And that, bro, the market was just fucking choppy as fuck, bro. So we took the L. And the lesson I should have took there was that moment right there should have got off the fucking charts, bro. Should have genuinely, bro, what the fuck is going on here? There we go, boom. Bang. At that point, I should have genuinely just got off the charts. What the fuck is going on with this camera, bro? There we go. At that point, should have got off the charts, and we didn't. So as a second trade, we couldn't help ourselves, bro. We looked like we were forming an uptrend, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak too much here, bro. Like, this is kind of pissing me off right now, just reading this shit. But we just ended up chopping, bro. There was no real, like, true confirmation in terms of where we wanted to go. As you can see on the second trade, though, we ended up pretty much hitting stop loss. I wanted to try and, we had a 15-minute bearish. So actually here, we did have a breaker structure. We had a 50-minute gap above, entered off the 5-minute. And at that point, what I would have wanted to see, what the fuck is going on with the camera, bro? My bad, boys. Boom. But what ended up happening was, at that point, I just wanted to see us fill the gap. I wanted us to see it fills the gap, and at that point, we just hit straight stop loss. And my thoughts after that was, after the first trade, I should have just stopped and realized that the market is choppy, no need to push it, and didn't. I also had a weird feeling, so this is one of the points I had as well. I had a weird feeling like I was in the zone. We're back. My camera has been bugging, bro. Holy fuck. But going into the second trade, what ended up happening was we ended up having a breaker structure. We had a 50-minute gap, as I'll put it up on the screen, 5-minute gap, and I thought we should have entered. And what I was looking for at that point was like, okay, now has the market finally decided where it wants to go? And I'm like, okay, looks bearish to me. So my take profits were just before filling the gap, into filling the gap, and just we had a bunch of rested draws of liquidity to the downside as well. So I was pretty confident, but didn't end up happening, bro. So we ended up losing that one as well. Now my thoughts was after the first loss, I should have stopped and realized that the market is choppy and that there was no need to push it. And didn't. I also had a weird feeling. I realized it was the first time, or it wasn't the first time, because I remember when I went full tilt one point. I think it was on like the week 2, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, where I was in like a zone. I don't think I was thinking super clearly, bro. I wasn't present. It was a weird feeling. I think for those, if you've ever been in like a tilt, you might know what I'm speaking about. But it's like when you don't have a clear awareness of what's happening around you. You're kind of in the zone. It's just you and the charts. and that's what ended up happening. So mathematically, I wiped out. I did the maths. Fuck's sake, bro. I wiped 79% of my profits on Friday for the whole week. 42% of my profits would have been wiped out if I had got off the first loss. And I think the lesson overall, the peak lesson I think I took out of this week, and I think this is the true nugget for the whole episode here, is I found myself complacent in winning. Noticed I was too comfortable with winning, bro. And I think all the way till it stems off till I think Thursday after that second L, well after that first second trade, when I got that first L and it broke the streak. That was when it clicked. That's when it clicked, where it's like, bro, you're complacent with winning, bro, and it's like it's good to normalize that energy. But I think that's what I ended up doing, bro. I was just taking trades because I'm like, okay, we have some confirmation, fuck it, let's go. I'm unstoppable. Where that wasn't the case. So all week reflections aside from that, we also could have got the first payout this week. I had realized if we had sized more, which we could have easily done on the Monday, on the Tuesday, on the Wednesday, and the Thursday, we could have got a max payout this week on all of our accounts. But, and this is the but, I am staying disciplined to my risk management and building the habit. I much rather sacrifice perhaps not getting that first payout within the first 30 days or 60 days or whatever, but start off the rip building the good habits. And where that stems from is from my sales background. I remember when I used to be in sales, and you don't learn by and it's kind of like strategy hopping, like a lot of traders do. But it's just like staying disciplined to your strategy, building those good habits on your sales calls from day one. And I'm applying that same aspect to trading, where it's like I need to start building those habits and truly solidifying them from day one. And risk management is part of that attribute. So I realized yes, I could have sized more on all of the winning days than I would have got that first payout. But I rather start getting the consistency, start building the tolerance for my risk management strategy. So as I continue to scale to eventually 10 accounts, 15 accounts, 20 accounts, I'm not going to lose my fucking shit. And I put here exactly. So soon we'll be at 15 accounts, 20 accounts, 30 accounts. No need to size ridiculous accounts. No need to size ridiculous. I don't like how that was phrased. But I put here, accounts will do the work. So by just following your strategy, just like sheer compounding of accounts, that will do the work. And that's another, and final reflection here as well. It's like, I think this week also proved, you've got to be switched on 24/7, bro. And it goes back to that complacency, and I'm glad I took that L on Friday, which for moving forward on Fridays, it fucking always gets me. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just the markets. I think it's institutions leaving their orders, end of the week, no real conviction. I think on Friday, I'm going to start putting limits on myself of like maximum 10 contracts, no fucking more, until we pass that, continue to pass on, because I get fucked on Fridays, bro. My P&L would be looking so much better if it wasn't for Fridays, but lessons learned. And as I put here, we have to be switched on 24/7, and not be complacent, bro. Not be complacent with how things are going. But genuinely, already with this week already undergone, I feel so much better. I feel like, again, we're building the momentum, we're building the consistency. At this point, bro, it's just a matter of time passing and eventually scaling to more accounts, getting that first payout. But overall, pretty good week. So aside from that, hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope everyone got a lot of takeaways from this as well. But aside from that,